we created a company that has a value of 130 million.
Your first income versus today's your monthly earning.
What I made in a year is about what I make in a week now.
In a world where money talks, you can purchase anything with money, but you need to master the art of making money. Because we have a very special guest, Dr. Titus Gebel. Thank you so much, Dr. Titus, for your precious time.
My pleasure. It's great to be here.
Your first income versus today's your monthly earning. How was the roller coaster journey?
Yeah, let me reflect that. I think my first real income was when I was a soldier, a voluntary soldier in the German army. That was even back in the Cold War times. I was a gunner and a tank commander. And what did I made at that time? Not much. I would say it's about what I made in a year is about what I make in a week now.
Okay, okay, that is a very interesting thing because everybody thinks that if they become an entrepreneur, they will be earning millions, trillions of dollars. I think you also had that kind of dream. So, who inspired you to be an entrepreneur?
I have to tell to your listeners, if it depends what type of entrepreneur you are. And there are people who set up a business, a manufacturing business, and then they sell with an enormous profit their products so that they can have steady income, which is quite high. But I'm coming from another angle. I'm somebody who's creating new companies. And then you also get a salary, which might be very interesting. But on the other hand, the main value is the increase in value of your company, right? You start from zero, literally. And to give you an example, when I started a mining company with a partner together, we put in everything we could put together, which was, I think, 600,000 euros, right? And I put in 400,000, he puts in 200,000. And then after some years, we created a company that has a value of 130 million, right? And that is the big increase. It's not your monthly salary, right? So that is what I found out over the years. The best way to make money is really to own a company or parts of a company, because these shares of the company, they will be far outweigh any big salary. So I think this is very important to learn, because it took me a while to understand that this is where the real money is made. It's not the monthly payments.
Money can generate anything. We are living in a digital era, and everybody wants to be a billionaire. Everybody wants a very flourish life, right? But on the other side, you were a lawyer and you transformed from a lawyer to an entrepreneur. How hard it was for you to be an entrepreneur from lawyer, and what were the initial challenges? Because when you are quitting something, when you are quitting 9 to 5 secure job, or when you are quitting this field and you are transforming to another field, it is always equaling to challenges, resistance. So how you cope up all those resistances?
Yeah, very good question. I think that the most problematic or the most difficult thing is you have studied law, right? I made even a PhD in law. I knew how to be a lawyer, right? I knew the law. I knew what to do. And then you have to start from zero again, right? Because it's completely not helping you if you start, for example, in the mining business or what I do now, that I have worked as a lawyer, right? I mean, it helps you because you know a bit about contracts. That is true. But I would say 90% you really have to jump into the cold water and say, I want to start something completely new because I think there is a business idea that can work. And then giving up your fixed income, giving up to work in an area that you know, where you know what you have to do, and completely start new. I said, okay, maybe I don't make any money, but I wanted to take the risk because I saw that the limit that I could make as a lawyer in a mid-sized town in Germany was just there. I couldn't never really become rich with being a lawyer alone. But I also wanted to create new things. And therefore I took the risk. And I didn't take it immediately. I first said, okay, I took a management position in a company. And from there, the next step was then really starting my own thing.
I was seeing this like you are working on a project, Free Cities Foundation, and now you're creating a virtual world, right? Where people can connect, they can uh, share their thoughts. How you got an idea? I think it's a COVID idea. You have been working in this particular area, and now it's going really well. So share how you got an idea of
Yeah.
creating Free Cities Foundation and how it's working. And now you are claiming that people can live, people can create their own houses, and by using this kind of idea. I'm very curious.
So the idea is that it's called governance by service or governance as a service. So we all know the problems that we have with government: corruption, then political struggle, then one party, then the next government is another party that is completely going in a different direction. And we don't have a say, right, as a normal citizens. And I was frustrated about that. And when I was a CEO of a very well-known mining company back in Germany, I got invitations from government to go with them in different countries and negotiate about resources things. And in doing so, I saw that the current systems in the Western democracy, this is what I know, right? I don't know the whole world, but that are not really reformable because the interest, the vested interests are just too high of a lot of groups that don't want change. But it's not good for us as citizens. And so I came up with the idea, if we have can create value in the market by just doing a good service and people are paying voluntarily for that, why couldn't we do the same with the government? And I thought a city is the place where you can try it out, where you say, I offer a city, I offer people like you and your audience, say you can come, you pay an amount which is maybe $1,500 per year, right, which replaces all taxes that pay, and in exchange you get protection of life, liberty, and property. And this is all written down in a contract where you can, and I cannot change this contract any day. You can't either. So this gives you much better security than in our legacy systems where politics is changing the rules constantly. Never you, it's always them that are changing the rules. And this is not possible if we have a bilateral contract, right? So this is the big innovation. And therefore, I founded the Free Cities Foundation. A lot of people are supporting that. A lot of people trying to make their own models. And I have also founded a private for-profit company in Singapore called Tipolis, who tries to make a new market out of that. But this is, I mean, you can only do this if you have been successful before and have a lot of money and don't have to work any longer, so that you can really focus on completely new ideas where it will take years and years until the first money is coming back.
Everything cannot happen overnight. You need to be patient and you have to work on that particular idea. And you have talked about your dream cities, right? You want to create a community, you want to create a dream city where all the people, they have money, they have everything, surety of their life, they all the problems, they can have a solution. Whenever we think about this, the main thought came is it can be in a fictional world. It cannot be in this world. So how you're working on it, and like in next 20 years and next 25 years, what is your plan with this particular concept?
Okay, so the question is indeed, how can this be possible in today's world, right? And the answer is because of special economic zones. The special economic zone concept is widely known in the world, and it actually says there are areas in a country that have a different set of rules. And that is exactly how we bring in our cities, right? We say, we come to government and say, give us internal autonomy for this region, and in exchange, we bring you jobs and investments that otherwise would not come. For example, that means in a second or third world environment, you set up a strict rule of law, very transparent, highly efficiently managed type of Hong Kong. Let's put it that way, right? Creating many new Hong Kongs, which are governed by a private company all over the place, but with the explicit agreement with the government, and saying, okay, you got this area, and my dream city would be not as big as Hong Kong. It would rather be a type of a Monaco size, like 40,000 people, a Monaco for everyone, right? You can come and start your business without needing a permission, without needing to have influential friends in government. You just can start and say, that's my investment. I might fail, but if I'm successful, I can keep the money for myself. And you only have to pay this annual fee for protection of life, liberty, and property. Then there is a certain infrastructure and a legal framework. So this is what you have to pay. A downtown with skyscrapers, and every evening, every people are leaving and commuting to their sleeping towns in the suburbs. No, that they should all stay within the city, live where they work where they live, and it will be a very vibrant, should be nice architecture, not too huge buildings, just a 6-level floor, so that people are really feeling that it's livable. So then you have the combination of this, I would say, quality of life, economic freedom, and personal freedom, and guaranteed security, guaranteed safety. I think this is a much better place to live than 90% of the places we have on Earth, and therefore I think that this business model could be successful. I think even this is the way of living together in the future, not for everyone, but for many people who are who want to create new things, who want to make their dreams true.
On the other side, we see that there are a lot of social crises nowadays, because every now and then, every business, every new startup, they are failing. What do you think? What are the main reasons that every new startup, like I was going through a report from last 10 years, they have searched about it. They were saying this, that every startup in first to 5 years, 70% or 60% of startups are failing. What is the main reason behind it?
Yeah.
Like they are lacking with the ideas, or like they are lacking with the solutions?
Well, I must say the vast majority of startups is failing. I mean, I've been in the startup industry for about more than 20 years, and not everything I did was a success, but I would say the majority of my things was a success. But your question is, why is this happening? I think one of the reasons is then between having ideas and implementing ideas lies an ocean of skills, right? It's just easy to have an idea that sounds good on paper, but make it happen in the real world is so much more difficult. You have to hire the right people. You have to form an organizational structure that is working. You have to do marketing, and often the ideas are just not working. I mean, this is a trial and error business, right? And this is a kind of evolutionary biological thing, right? You make something which is different from the current offers on the market. That is mutation, and then then you are selected, right? Like in evolution theory, the good things survive, but all the others, they die out. They get insolvent. And then only the good things, they are reproducing because others are copying then your model. They are Me Too products then. That's how the world works, and that's how market works. So it's normal that most things fail because it's not so easy. I mean, you have to imagine on the market, if you are not in a political market, in a free market, you cannot force anybody to pay for your product or service idea. Okay, you can run for the government for subsidies, but this is after some while, this is over. So if you want to be successful, you have to create something that is really needed in the market. I'll tell you something, when I started with the mining business back in 2004, nobody in Germany wanted to do mining any longer, right? The biggest German mining company said mining is a thing of the past. We were becoming a tourism company now. This is TUI. Maybe some of you know that. It's a big tourism company. They were a mining company before. And even my mother said back then, you should start a solar power company. Well, I said, before I start the solar power company number 371 in Germany, I start the first new mining company. So you have to have the courage to do something new, because I knew there will be demand, right? If all the old mines are shut down because they're depleted and nobody's opening up new mines, then, and there's a lot of demand for metals, especially from China, then there's only one solution: prices have to skyrocket, right? And then it's profitable again to open up mines. And that was exactly what happened. So I, as a lawyer, recognizing that, jumped into that business. But this was, you can say, maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity, maybe, but there are other opportunities there, right? So it's not always necessary to come up with a very unique, great new idea. You can also look for a niche that is working in other countries and try to apply it in your country. But most of the ideas for startups, they're just not working, right? Because there's no market, people are not willing to pay for that, or you have not the skills to make it happen. These are, I would say, the main reasons for failure.
So mining is a very popular business nowadays. Use of minerals around the globe is mostly valuable thing. So as an expert, if you want to start a business in 2025 of mining, which minerals you will be going to select and how you will generate your profit in 6 months, in 12 months. The kind of knowledge, limited knowledge I have, I know that huge investments when
Yes.
you're working, when you are doing this mining business. So in 2 or 3 minutes, for our youngsters, for the people who are inspired and they want to do this business, how they can create a model.
This is indeed, the mining business is a very, very long-term business, right? So it's not practically impossible to make quick money, but it is possible, and I can tell you how. I mean, it is. Again, the first thing is, if you found a company and the company later becomes successful, that's what's making you rich, right? But it is nothing you found a company now and you're rich after 6 months. But you have to understand the mining business is separated into 3 parts. This is the exploration part. These are people looking for new deposits, for new minerals, for metals. Then you have the developers that are developing this deposit into a mineable reserve and creating something that is mineable. And then you have the producers that are really building the factories and the open pit and the underground if necessary. And these are usually the big boys. We have a lot of money. So where you can make money is as a single person or as a junior is in it's called junior exploration market, or the developers that, for example, when we started was relatively easy because nobody wanted to do mining. There was a lot of abandoned mines, abandoned projects, and you could just sit on them and wait until prices go up. And then eventually you will find co-investors or financiers for your project. The easiest way is, of course, to buy shares from other companies, and we did this in the beginning, especially in the Canadian market. Canada and Australia are the biggest markets for junior exploration mining. And in today's world, I would start say first you try to understand the business by just investing in some shares, or even just make a watch list and follow these companies. But the good thing is these companies are public, that they publish everything. And then if a company is published in Canada or Australia, they have to follow certain guidelines, what they can say at what stage in their life. That's not rocket science. You can understand that after studying it for 6 to 12 months. And then you can look, okay, what are currently minerals or metals that are unwanted, right? Nobody likes them. So that is where you start investing, right? Or you go to countries which are turning around. And at the moment, definitely Argentina is a hot place to be in mining, because nothing has happened there in the last 30 or 40 years because of the bad politics of the socialist governments and all the red tape they had. And now this is all opened up, and it's still early days. So, I mean, just to give you an example, Chile is the biggest copper miner in the world. It accounts for about 25% of all copper in the world. Chile, the country Chile. And the neighboring country, Argentina, has zero output of copper, zero, right? But the copper mines are all, not all of them, but many of them are along the border between Chile and Argentina. So it's very probable that you also have some copper on the Argentinian side. And indeed, there have been made 2 discoveries now, but still Argentina has no copper production, right? And so far you can see, okay, just to give you an example, that's where you look at, right? And then you make your studies. You can do this with ChatGPT or just reading in the internet. Is there a shortage of copper in the next 10 or 20 years? And why is this supposedly the case? And normally it's always the same story. The big mines are running out of feed, and the new mines are too small to replace that, right? That is often the case, but caveat, sometimes it's the predictions are not true, right? I remember in the tin sector, we said that repeatedly. Tin coming mostly from Indonesia, said, oh, they will run out of stuff and then the prices will explode. But they did not explode because a lot of smaller countries and smaller mines, like in Myanmar and other places in Mongolia, they took up the shortage, right? Nobody had that foreseen, but tin mining can be done by family businesses, copper mining, not really. So that means this copper story has some merit. And if you think that gold will go up because of geopolitical insecurities or monetary problems, then maybe gold is the metal, or gold mines are the things you should look.
Wow, like I think Chile should contact Argentina. Argentina should contact Chile because they have 20% of copper, and I think you have given me a lot of information. And now I would like, you have talked about geopolitical scenarios, right? So what are the best places in the world where we can do any businesses, any 5 countries you want to name, and you can tell these businesses will going to work in these countries for youngsters?
This is a difficult country. I mean, a difficult question. You can say there is this ease of doing business ranking every year, right? And normally the top performing countries are Switzerland, Singapore, Hong Kong, what else? Normally the Western countries like the USA or whatever country that you have, New Zealand or something like that. I think depending on where you are in the region, I mean, Switzerland is a great place if you are European, but if you are living in Pakistan or in Malaysia, it's just too far and it's too expensive, right? So you probably should better look to Singapore or to the new international city we're creating in Brunei, right? These are things that I think it always look regionally, and there are sometimes countries that have switched the political direction and are now becoming interesting, like Vietnam, right? Also former communist country and now very successfully operating. And in so far, my recommendation would be not to look to the world leading thing, but the regional leading countries. And have a look if maybe Malaysia or again Singapore may be something you want to start a business or invest in, or their special economic zones. Dubai certainly is interesting for a lot of people from all over the world. Abu Dhabi with the Abu Dhabi Global Market Area. So that is definitely something I would say. The Emirates are something if you're located in Pakistan, you should look at the Emirates. You should maybe also with another eye look into Singapore and maybe what we are doing in Brunei.
We have a lot of things to discuss, but at the end of the day, we have a time limit. So any message you want to give to aspiring people, those people who want to do something, but they are continuously failing, they are facing failures. What is your golden tip to them?
My recommendation is be persistent, right? Don't give up too early. Persistency is the most underrated talent in the world. If you just stand up again and say, okay, we make it. And if you fail, don't do the exact same thing again, but say, okay, how can we try it again, but a little bit different to avoid the mistakes, and then try it again. So I think this is my main, I would say, recommendation, right? Be persistent, don't give up early.
Be persistent and don't give up, and God help those who help themselves by their own. So thank you so much for your precious time, and I hope you will going to like the podcast. If you like the podcast, then do subscribe the channel and share this video with your friends. We will be going to meet you in the next podcast of TBN. Till then, take care.